Welcome back to another episode of the Peak Performance Life podcast. Today, we will be doing a solo episode. I am going to give you a presentation that I recently gave to a bunch of business people about how to improve their health. And so we cover a wide range of topics from the physical as well as the mental. And so let's just jump right into it. Instead of me giving some long introduction about it, let's just jump right into it. And I'm going to get straight to the point and hit on a lot of different points, a lot of different aspects of health in a really short period of time. So this is going to be a really great kind of overview of all the different aspects of health and things you should be kind of focusing on to improve your health. So we start out with an Indian proverb, a quote that this is pretty much the peak performance motto here, one of my favorite quotes of all time. And it's, a healthy person has 1,000 wishes, but a sick person has only one. And you may have heard me say that one before. A healthy person has 1,000 wishes, but a sick person has only one. You should really think about that, because I think it will help you prioritize or make health a priority in your life. And one of the things I said to the people when I gave this presentation that you're about to hear, one of the things I said was, the only reason you're not as healthy as you would like to be is because you have not made it a priority. It's as simple as that. And these are, a lot of these guys were very, very wealthy, yet they haven't made it a priority. So this is what I really want you to understand. If you think about, when you're an old, when you're an old man or old woman at the end of your life, looking back at your life, are you going to regret not being healthier, not living a longer, healthier life? Highly doubtful. Yet we know that in interviews with most people before they pass away, I don't think very many of them at all are going to be saying, man, I really wish I worked more. In fact, I think there was a study, I can't remember the exact one, but there was a study where they monitored people throughout the course of their lives and also interviewed them when they were older. And again, regarding regrets, nobody ever said, man, I really wish I worked more. In fact, it was quite the opposite, right? More people said, I wish I would have taken more time for my health. I wish I would have spent more time with my family. That's probably a really, really big one. And the thing is, if you don't have your health, you can't be around for your family, right? And so this is a big issue. In fact, one of my very close friends, his parents never got to really meet their grandkids, or they met one of them when they were 1 year old and didn't get to meet the other one. And that's pretty sad. I mean, if you think about it, to not be around to see your own grandkids. My goal is to be around not only for my grandkids, but also for my great grandkids. So just really think about this and let it hit home. If you don't have your health, you have nothing. And you see this when people get sick, then they'll try everything. They'll spend all their money. They'll do everything they possibly can after they're sick, but not enough people prioritize their health before they get sick. And, a lot of these diseases don't just happen overnight, right? They happen over 20 years of eating unhealthy or not exercising or whatever the issue is, right? And so really making health a priority, to me, it's kind of like a no-brainer. It's like, isn't this so obvious to make health your number one priority? Because without your health, you can't be there for your family. You can't do the things that you need to do. So always want to start with that quote. And really, I know I took a little time on that to explain that, but it's because that is the most important thing. When you realize that health is the most important thing in your life, then you will make it a priority. When you make it a priority, right? Like myself, I don't care if I'm working, I'm still going to the gym in the middle of the workday because my health is more important to me. Going to the gym is more important than working, right? So, and I understand some people don't have that flexibility with their jobs or whatever, but if that's the case, then go first thing in the morning or go right after work or whatever the case may be, right? Making health a priority is the number one thing here. So moving right along, so I want to have a mindset shift here around health. Okay. So a lot of people get confused. Some people think health is about weight loss or health is about, the way you look or things like that. I want to give you a bit of a mindset shift here. And that is my belief, and what I think about health is that health is about lowering inflammation in the body. I'll say that again. Health is about lowering inflammation in the body. Now, we know that pretty much every disease stems from some sort of inflammation, right? We know that people, for example, there's so many people that have back pain, that have shoulder pain, that have knee pain, that have, wrist pain or whatever, if they're on the computer all day, like I did, right? And they have inflammation, and what they think, they're searching for a solution outside themselves. So me personally, right? You've probably heard my own personal story. Back in 2013, I had so much pain and inflammation in my hands, fingers, wrists, arms from so what I was doing was I was searching for a solution outside of myself. I'm buying every pain relief cream, I'm buying every wrist brace and compression sleeve that I can find, until I had a shift. And that mindset shift is that, wait a minute, inflammation comes from what I put inside my body, right? So whatever pain relief device or cream or in some cases surgery that people have, right? And I'm just not a doctor, this is not medical advice, but there's a lot of times where people have inflammation in their body, where in fact, it's actually kind of funny. I know someone recently that had some stem cells injection or something for their back, because they always had back pain. And as what the doctor told them after giving them the stem cells was, you're not allowed to drink alcohol for 3 months or whatever it was, right? And I thought, that is brilliant, because alcohol, we know, causes inflammation. And I think this person was drinking, quite a bit, probably almost daily, some sort of alcohol. And it's like, I don't know what's going to help more, not drinking alcohol or getting the stem cell injections, right? I really don't know. And so imagine first, though, if you just stopped drinking and stopped eating fried foods and stopped eating, bread and pasta and sugars and inflammatory things, alcohol, right? Like, what if you did that first? And then maybe the inflammation would go down, and maybe you wouldn't need the surgery, right? And so I think it's just, there's so many people out there, again, buying back braces and knee braces and wrist braces and pain relief creams. I was guilty of all of that myself, until I had this mindset shift. Oh, wait a minute, inflammation comes from what I put inside my body. And so now I believe that health is about lowering inflammation in the body. That's the most important thing. And that's why I personally follow a sort of paleo low inflammatory diet, right? So the paleo diet, low inflammatory diet, right? So I'm not eating tons of carbs. I have reintroduced some carbs into my healthy carbs, like sweet potato, into my diet, but that I don't feel that that's inflammatory, right? So I don't eat fried foods. I don't drink alcohol. I don't, eat processed sugar. I don't eat bread or pasta, because those things are inflammatory, right? They also cause blood sugar spikes. And we know that having diabetes, and which so many people are either diabetic or pre-diabetic. And so we know that puts you at risk for so many more diseases, and you put you at risk for so many more things, right? So, and it's the same thing, by the way. So many people are concerned with weight loss. It's the same exact foods that cause inflammation in your body are the same exact foods that also cause you to gain weight, right? Think about it. French fries, soda, sugar, alcohol, bread, pasta. These are the things that cause you to gain weight. And they're the same things that cause inflammation in your body. So again, you can research, there's a million, again, there's a million diets. So I don't really want to get into specific diets and things like that. But personally, I follow kind of a paleo diet, and there's a million paleo recipes and things you can look up online about paleo if you're serious about lowering inflammation in your body. So just know, and there's a lot of other things we'll talk about that also lower inflammation in your body. We're about to get into in just a minute here as well. So again, most people are looking outside themselves to solve a problem that originates from the inside. Inflammation comes from what you put inside of you, and anything else is just a Band-Aid. If you're looking for a topical solution to heal your pain, that's just a Band-Aid. It's not solving the root cause of the problem, okay? So here's another mindset shift. So I want to talk a little bit about mindset. One of the things I've realized in interviewing now, I think probably over 70 people or so for the podcast and counting, is that, so many people can teach you what to do, right? Like I just mentioned, things not to eat. And if you just avoid those foods, you probably will be healthier than 95% of the people in the country, right? If you just avoid the foods that I literally just said in a 30-second span, what not to eat, right? But so if you know that, why are some people not taking the action, right? If they know what to do, so why aren't they doing it, right? It's a really, really interesting question. It's something I'm really fascinated about myself, is the mindset around health. Why is it that some people just don't do it? They know they shouldn't eat that thing or drink that thing, but they do it anyway. And so I want to talk a little bit about that because I think that's really the biggest differentiator, right? Again, it's not rocket science to figure out how to be healthy. It's more of a, are you actually going to do it? Are you actually going to exercise? Are you actually going to eat the right way? And so here's a little mindset shift that I got from a great book called The New Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz and Dan Kennedy. And it's a mindset shift of people saying that's just the way I am, right? So people say, oh, well, I have a sweet tooth. That's just the way I am. Or, oh, I need that, I need that wine every night to just, help me. That's just the way I am. Or right. Versus, so the mindset shift is that's just the way I am versus I am who I decide to be. Think about that. That's just the way I am versus I am who I decide to be. And in this book, The New Psycho-Cybernetics, they talk about your self-image and that the self-image defines and limits your possibilities. And without getting too woo-woo or going too deep into this, because this isn't really an entire presentation about mindset, maybe I should break that out and do a separate one. But for me personally, in all areas of my life, from health to business to everything, I really believe that your belief system, right, your self-image truly does define and limit your possibilities or gives you more possibilities, right? So it's just a really powerful concept. And they give some great examples in the book. I can't really think of a good one off the top of my head. I'll probably butcher it, so I won't try to explain it. But just think about things where you're saying, oh, that's just the way I am, versus taking on the mindset of I am who I decide to be. You are who you decide to be, right? Tony Robbins famously, I love when he says this, right? He talks about himself and he's like, Tony Robbins is like, I built this motherfucker. I built this Tony Robbins, right? If you saw I Am Not Your Guru on his documentary on Netflix, he's like, I built this Tony Robbins motherfucker. I decided who I wanted to be and I built that person and now I am that person. And so I think it's just such a powerful mindset. So first, you're getting your priorities straight about, health is a number one priority. Okay, great. Got that. Now I'm like, I am who I decide to be. So if I decide to be healthy, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow through. I'm going to take the actions. And here's something that I actually have written down in my journal. And I look at it pretty much every day. I visualize it. And it's visualizing the best version of yourself. So write this down. If you have a journal, if you have a pen, if you're not driving or something, if you have a chance to make a note and write this down and put it in your journal, put it in something that you look at in the morning. At least that's what I do. And it's this phrase here: see beyond your current self to the opportunity of becoming the best version of yourself. So see beyond your current self to the opportunity of becoming the best version of yourself. I think it's really powerful if you think about, okay, what would the best version of myself look like, right? In 3 years from now, if I'm the best version of myself every day, what will that look like in 3 years, right? Will I lose a bunch of weight? Will I gain a bunch of strength? Will I have a lot more energy? Will I be a better father or mother to my kids? Will I be a better husband or wife to my spouse? Right? Think about what is the best version of yourself. And so that's something I constantly think about. And I'm constantly thinking about how I can be the best father, the best husband, the best leader and inspiration, the healthiest version of myself, the best business person. So it's really powerful to kind of visualize this and think about this and see beyond your current self, right? You are not your past. You are not, just because. Here's a really fascinating example. I think I might have given this once a long time ago on an episode, but think about this, right? Let's say somebody is smoking a cigarette, and then they've been a smoker for 20 years, but then today they tell you, I quit, right? So I'm no longer a smoker. And from this point forward, they no longer smoke. And if someone offers them a cigarette, they say, no, thank you, I don't smoke, right? And so that doesn't mean, just because they smoked for the last 20 years doesn't mean that today they cannot choose to be a different best version of themselves, right? To be not a smoker. So just because you ate like garbage in the past and didn't exercise doesn't mean that starting today or tomorrow, you cannot be a completely different person and be a better version of yourself. So always remember that just because something was a certain way in the past doesn't mean that's the way that it has to be in the future. You decide, right? You are who you decide to be. You decide. And, think about, see beyond your current self to the opportunity of becoming the best version of yourself. Write that down. Think about that all the time. So thinking about, have you ever heard of the marshmallow test? It's also kind of sometimes known as the cookie test, the marshmallow test, where they took kids at a young age and they put them in a room and they gave them either a marshmallow or a cookie. And they said, we're going to come back, and I think it was come back in 20 minutes. And if you don't eat the marshmallow or the cookie, then we're going to give you another one. Right. And it's funny, they have videos of some of the kids. I think you can find it even on YouTube, and you see some of the kids kind of looking at the marshmallow or the cookie and struggling and like really, really restraining themselves. And anyway, long story short, the kids who restrained themselves showed the most promise for success in all areas of their life as they continued to get older. And so it's really an interesting thing, right? It's like sacrificing short-term gratification for long-term results. Can you sacrifice, right, when you get a craving or whatever, right, for something negative that you know is not good for you? Can you sacrifice short-term gratification for long-term results? And I can tell you that the most successful people in all areas of life sacrificed short-term gratification for long-term results. Look at the most fit people you know. They've sacrificed short-term gratification for long-term results. Look at the most successful people that you know in business. They have probably sacrificed short-term gratification for long-term results. They put in the work, right? And now they're reaping the rewards most likely. So here's another great quote from Tony Robbins that I really love. This always resonated with me since the first time I heard him say it, and that is, nothing tastes as good as health feels. Nothing tastes as good as health feels. So that's like a mantra that I've been thinking about for many years. And it's true. It's like literally now I feel so good that I have zero craving for the cake or the alcohol, because I know when I eat that cake or drink that alcohol, how I feel after, and nothing tastes as good as health feels. So think about that and keep that as a mantra in your mind. Okay, we already talked about training yourself to value long-term success over short-term gratification. Another thing that people say is to run the tape through to the end, right? So it's a really interesting concept, run the tape through to the end. And what that means is, like, think through the entire process, right? So, and it's actually really interesting. If you think about, let's say you go out and you're at dinner, and maybe you're with a bunch of friends and everyone's having drinks, and you think you want to run the tape through to the end in terms of like, okay, let me think this through before I actually have these drinks. And you know what? You may decide, hey, you know what? I'm out with my friends. I got nothing to do tomorrow morning, and let's have fun with my friends. Great. You run the tape through to the end and you decide that, you know what? Tonight I'm going to have some drinks with my friends. Fine. Great. At least you made a conscious decision and not just some knee-jerk, reaction, right? At least you're thinking it through. On the other hand, you might be like, you know what? I have to wake up early for I have an 8 a.m. presentation or whatever it is, right? And so you run the tape through to the end and you realize, yeah, you know what? Tonight's probably not the right night for me to do this, right? Whether it be a piece of cake, fried foods, which I think are one of the worst things you could possibly put in your body, run the tape through to the end before you make. Again, it's avoiding these impulse decisions. It's avoiding the reactivity, right? It's being proactive, thinking things through, being conscious, being aware, really, really important to the success of your health. So next we have, okay, again, as I mentioned, there's only one reason your health is not where you want it to be, and that's because you have not made it a priority, right? If your health is where you want it to be, it's because you've prioritized your health. If it's not, very simple, you haven't made your health a priority. Simple as that, really. So you have a decision, right? You can continue to let your health not be a priority, or you can decide, I am who I decide to be, right? And I want to be the best version of myself, and the best version of myself is a healthier person. And therefore, I'm going to prioritize my health. And here's how I'm going to do that, right? Very, very simple way to think about it, right? And then another thing is, if, especially this is for business people who are really successful and rich, like, if you're already very successful and you have good money, why the hell would you prioritize your work over your health? Right. And so I was speaking to a bunch of really successful business people when I was giving this presentation, and I was like, why, if you're already rich, right? Like you already are successful, like why the hell would you prioritize work over your health, right? Think about your priorities, get your priorities straight. If health is the most important thing in your life, right? What's the point of making millions or tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars if you pass away at age 65 when you could have lived to age 95, and you don't ever get to meet your grandkids when you could have actually helped raise your grandkids and even been around to see your great grandkids, right? Think about that. Really, really powerful framework. Okay. So again, yeah, don't wait until it's too late, right? My best friend's parents, one of my best friends, his parents neglected their health, and now they passed away without meeting their grandkids, which is really sad. So here's one of the things that I highly recommend that I do personally is starting your day with quiet time. You've probably heard me mention this before, but gratitude, visualization, meditation, high level thinking time, starting your day with this quiet time. The absolute worst thing you can do is wake up and check your phone or wake up and turn on the news. Absolutely horrible thing. It's just, you're not in control of your day. You're not in control of your mind, right? Starting your day with quiet time. Again, no news in the background. No, you're not turning on the TV. You're not looking at your phone, right? I try to leave my phone in airplane mode for at least the first hour of the day. Sometimes it's much, much longer than that. But again, it's really powerful to have this time to think, to have this time to say what you're grateful for, right? Every morning, to visualize the best version of yourself, to do some meditation or breathing, and to do some high level thinking time. Some of the most important decisions I've made in my life have been from going outside with my cup of coffee, getting some sunlight, and just thinking, and with my journal, and just thinking, high level thinking, what do I really want? Is this what I want to do? Or would I rather do something else? And really being intentional about that is just so important. I can't stress that enough. Now, when it comes to your health, if you do nothing else, at least do this. Go to the gym or do some sort of exercise. If it's not going to the gym, I love going to the gym, but go to the gym or exercise while listening to audiobooks or podcasts. So if you're listening to this right now, this podcast, then congratulations, you're on the right track. And you probably are already an avid listener of podcasts and audiobooks. I think there's nothing better you can do for your health than to exercise while listening to audiobooks or podcasts. I typically listen to audiobooks at least on 2x speed, podcast at least on 1.5x, sometimes 2x, depending on how fast or slow the person talks. I'm a pretty fast talker, so I would imagine 1.5x would be fast enough for most people to listen to me, but there are others who speak much slower, especially on audiobooks, in which case listening at a faster speed. But again, that's just me being more efficient and trying to consume more content, because I am just a learning machine and I love consuming lots of content while exercising. And again, exercising is the most important thing. Essentially, obviously you have to eat right too, but exercise really is the most important thing for your health and for longevity. So doing that most important thing for your body while also doing what I believe is the most important thing for your mind, which is learning. And again, for years, the most successful people before audiobooks said, the most successful people read a half hour, or at least a half hour, an hour a day, right? Again, think about like the most successful, even investors, right? Like a Warren Buffett spends most of his time thinking and reading, right? So if he can do it, why is everyone else not doing it, right? He's the most essentially successfully financial person, or one of them in the world. And so it's pretty incredible to think about that. So in regards to exercise, I'm just going to touch on this really quickly. We've had other podcasts where we've talked more about different types of exercise as well. But in my opinion, strength training is the most important. And I do believe that, pretty much everyone, or most people at least, should be doing some sort of strength training at least 3 times per week. And, ideally working out each body part at least once per week. But strength training is really important, especially as you get older, and for women too. This isn't just for men. Sarcopenia, which means muscle loss, is one of the biggest, risk factors as you get older. If you have no muscle and you have no strength as you get older, it's really, really bad, right? So strength training is really important. Keeping your strength, keeping your mobility, one of the most important things as you get older. HIIT training. So at least once per week, I do a HIIT training, which I highly recommend you do as well. I do it on the assault bike. The assault bike is, if you've ever been to the gym and you see, it's a bike that has kind of like a huge fan in the middle of it. And it has things where you can move your arms back and forth while also riding the bike. And I do that for 25 seconds all out, and then a 2-minute rest. And I do about 4, sometimes 5 rounds of that. So 25 seconds all out. So you could do it as a sprint, but sprinting actually can be kind of dangerous unless you're really, really fit, really athletic. But for people, especially if you're a little bit older, trying to do a full all out sprint for 25 seconds you see people fall sometimes. So the assault bike is a really safe way to do it. You could do it on any kind of bike. If you have a Peloton or whatever, any kind of bike at the gym, I guess you could go all out as hard as you can go for 25 seconds, then rest for 2 minutes, doing 4 rounds of that. That HIIT training is really important. It's really great for your hormones. It's really great for your cardiovascular support, for your VO2 max, which is another kind of a thing that people measure in terms of your VO2 max, in terms of longevity. So walking at a fast pace every day is also really, really great. In addition to strength training, right? If you can walk at a fast pace every day, it's great for energy. It's great for health. It's great for metabolism. For me, I love it just to get up in the morning and walk around a little sometimes, or to just to get moving. You'll find that your mind works better. And basically everything works better when you're just moving around sometimes versus being stagnant, right? Think about it. If you're just sitting down in a chair in front of a computer all day versus can you take a break and go for a 20-minute fast-paced walk or even a 40-minute fast-paced walk, ideally, right? Think about the difference in mental and physical energy there. And then also some sort of cardiovascular training as well. So I'm not a fan of what I call chronic cardio, which is like really, really long cardio. Someone said something to me one time about oh yeah, this guy's really healthy. He runs a marathon. I'm thinking to myself, actually running a marathon is not really healthy. If you think about it, running a marathon actually causes inflammation in your body. Now, don't get me wrong. Running a marathon is a really great thing from a mental perspective to show yourself that you can do hard things. I think there's really an important, valuable lesson in being able to do hard things like running a marathon. But running a marathon will cause inflammation in your body. It will, it may not be, I wouldn't call it a healthy thing to do, honestly. I think, running or jogging at a good pace for 20 minutes is great, even 30 minutes. But personally, from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, I would probably limit 40 minutes to be the max. So I think, I meet a lot of people who, will do the Peloton or whatever for like an hour a day, but don't do strength training, right? So you're really missing out there. And also, instead of doing an hour, I would rather do 30 minutes, but go twice as fast or something, right? Go harder, right? During that time for a shorter period of time. But, 20 to 40 minutes of cardiovascular, if you can do that a couple of times a week, obviously that's beneficial for heart health and things of that nature. But if you're only doing that, you're probably going to lose muscle mass. And especially that's the thing about chronic cardio. Like if you are training for a marathon and all you're doing is running 10 miles a day and then running a marathon and you're not lifting weights, you're actually going to lose a lot of muscle, right? Which is really counterproductive. So having a balance is really important here. So for example, myself, I realized that I wasn't doing enough cardiovascular exercise. So I'm like, you know what? At least twice a week, I got to run for at least 20 minutes at a good pace, right? At least twice a week, right? Because I love going to the gym. I love strength training. I do the HIIT training, but I was slacking on the cardiovascular. And so I realized, okay, you know what? I got to be able to run, right? Human beings, we got to be able to run at least for 20 minutes at a good pace a couple times a week. It's important to keep that. So to the nutrition side of things, one of the, eliminating processed sugar, refined carbohydrates, and fried foods, right? So this is really important. I think fried foods might be the worst of all of them. I remember hearing many years ago, I went to the biohacking conference and the speaker said, I would rather smoke a cigarette than eat French fries, which I thought, wow, like that really puts it in perspective. And I think he said something like, when you eat fried foods, these vegetable oils, this canola oil that it was fried in, that can stay in your body for days and slow you down and make you lethargic and be, cause inflammation in your body, which again, we're trying to lower inflammation in the body. So fried foods are really, really toxic. And, sugar, soda, diet soda, right? I think that's another thing. People think that because Coke Zero or whatever has, or diet soda, Coke Zero has 0 calories. They're like, oh, it has 0 calories. It's okay, right? No, it's not okay because it causes inflammation in your body. It can mess with your hormones. People are like, oh, why do I have low testosterone? Well, look at your diet, right? Or why, if you're drinking 3 diet sodas every day and not eating healthy, then you shouldn't wonder why your testosterone is low, right? So, and then these people will go on testosterone replacement therapy, but continue to drink diet soda every day, right? So, really if you can do these things in a natural approach without having to, to do things, using drugs or performance enhancing things, right? Which testosterone replacement therapy is just huge right now, and it's fine. I have no problem with it. I think I've heard people say it's been a life changer for them, for people that have really low testosterone. But I would first ask yourself, why do you have low testosterone, and can you increase that testosterone naturally? And I think I'm almost positive that most people, if you're eating processed sugar, refined carbohydrates, fried foods, drinking soda or diet soda, eating bread, pasta, cereal, these kind of things, if you just change your diet, I'm pretty sure that you would naturally get better hormones as well. So again, avoiding vegetable oil, soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, and other seed oils. These oils are just really, really toxic. And unfortunately, it's really hard for me to go out and eat out, right? Because a lot of these restaurants are cooking using these nasty oils. I even recently went to a really nice steakhouse, and I wanted to order the salmon that night, and I asked them, what do you cook your salmon in? And they said, oh, it's an oil. Okay, what kind of oil? Well, it's a mixture of oil, of olive oil and canola oil. I'm like, do we have to add the canola oil in there? So, I didn't order the salmon that day, right? So, I ordered a steak which wasn't cooked in any oil. But it's really hard. Most places are cooking with these oils, and you got to be really careful. It's unfortunate. I know it sucks. I mean, believe me, I wish I could eat out at more places. I eat at True Foods Kitchen, who, believe it or not, even they a couple of years ago used to have a canola oil that they would use, and I think enough people, including myself, complained to them like, come on guys, you're True Foods Kitchen, you're supposed to be the healthy restaurant. And so as of, I think, about 6 to 9 months ago or so, they told me that they've eliminated all the canola oil, and the only oil they have back there is olive oil. So that's congratulations, thank you. And I will be a True Food Kitchen supporter. In fact, every time someone wants to meet me for lunch nearby, there's a True Food Kitchen, I say, we're going to True Foods Kitchen, because it's the place where I know I'm not going to get any nasty vegetable oils and seed oils. So that's really important for me. Keep an eye out for those. And same thing with your snacks, right? For example, I went over a friend's house recently, and he had bought some almonds from Whole Foods, right? Almonds from Whole Foods, roasted almonds, right? That's okay, right? Well, look at the back of the bag. Well, roasted almonds with, guess what? Canola oil or soybean oil or whatever it was, right? And nasty seed oils. Really, really bad. So check the labels, right? Check the labels before you buy something. Make sure it doesn't have any vegetable oil, soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, or any other nasty seed oils. Instead, the good oils we know are avocado oil, olive oil, right, for cooking. Primal Kitchen brand has great salad dressings, great ketchup, right? Believe it or not, regular ketchup, right? So think about this. You eat French fries with ketchup. The French fries are fried with canola oil, and the ketchup has high fructose corn syrup in the ketchup. Unless you're buying an organic ketchup, which I buy the Primal Kitchen organic unsweetened ketchup, right? Then that one does not have any high fructose corn syrup. Obviously, another, reason to buy organic as well. There's no high fructose corn syrup in anything organic, and it's also not sprayed with pesticides, which is also really, really important as well. So another tip I have for you is finishing your shower on cold. So this has been a real game changer for me. I still do my normal short shower where, nice and warm, and do my thing. And then when I'm done, then I turn it as cold as it can go for the last couple minutes, right? Maybe 2-3 minutes or so. And if you're just starting out, you can start with 30 seconds and work your way up to a couple minutes or so. I don't really time it, but I assume it's about 3 minutes or so that I probably finish on cold. And now that I've been doing this, I can't stop it. Like, I just love it. I think it's the best thing you could do for mental. In terms of like a nootropic, people try to buy all these nootropic brain supplements to try to improve their mental performance. Let me tell you something. Hop in a cold shower for 2 minutes. You will be awake and alert and mentally alert. Like, it's literally the best nootropic you can think of. And it is very good for inflammation, right? Hitting your body with it's really cold water is really good for lowering inflammation. We all know, right? What do you do when you sprain your ankle or whatever? You ice it, right? Because icing it, the cold lowers inflammation. So I try to get cold water all over my entire body, every muscle, every part, especially if I'm sore in a certain part, right? So it's great for mental alertness. It's great for lowering inflammation. I know it sounds hard at first, but trust me, once you do it. Now I can't, now I always have to do it, right? It's really a game changer, finishing your shower with cold. Lots of benefits for that as well. The next thing is prioritizing your sleep. So you've probably heard this before. Sleep is probably maybe the most important thing. Actually, I keep saying that about everything, right? Exercise is the most important thing. Sleep is the most important thing. Not eating fried foods and bad foods is the most important thing. So I guess there's a bunch of important things. So, but here, let's jump into some of the top sleep tips, right? Because you've heard it before, but not a lot of people really kind of get into the actual sleeping tips. So here's some sleep tips for you. First thing is get out in the sun first thing in the morning for at least 10 minutes, right? Well, what does that have to do with sleep? Well, getting out in the sun first thing in the morning, getting some sun in your eyes and on your body, I'm not saying stare into the sun or do anything that would be bad for your eyes, but just getting that sunlight, it's really great for your circadian rhythm. So it actually helps your body. Later on, you'll be releasing melatonin at night. There's kind of a way that this works with getting sun first thing in the morning. So it's really important. Also, it just feels great, honestly, as well, to get that sun. But I've just noticed that for me now, again, now that I've been doing it, it's something that I'm really like addicted to, getting the sun first thing in the morning. I just feel the difference when I do it. And so that's one thing for sleeping, which not a lot of people talk about. Another one is a white noise machine. So personally, I wore an Oura ring, Oura, O-U-R-A, Oura ring, which monitors your sleep, right? And so I wore it for a while and I tested a bunch of different things. And the thing that made the biggest difference for me was a white noise machine. And I think that there's a lot of times where like there's a motorcycle driving by, at 2 o'clock in the morning, even if it's like, half a mile away from your house, you still might hear it. And so a quarter mile away from your house, let's say a motorcycle goes by 2 in the morning, that might knock you out of a deep sleep without you even realizing it, whereas the white noise machine might help cover up that sound. I think that's just my theory on why it works, but I can tell you it works. And so I have a white noise machine in my bedroom, as well as for my daughters as well. And then when I travel, I use a white noise app on my phone. When I'm home, I don't have my phone obviously in my bedroom, so I bought a $20 white noise machine from Amazon or something. But when I travel, I just put my phone on airplane mode and use a white noise app as well, which really helps. Having a complete blackout in your bedroom, so literally no light at all. Like literally, if you have a TV in your bedroom and there's like a tiny red light or tiny blue light, like throw a t-shirt over it or something, cover it. So complete blackout. I actually have, I think having like blackout curtains, like having shades and then curtains over the shade, kind of a thing, even like just to really make it total blackout. That's going to really help you stay in a deeper sleep and improve your sleep. I personally wear blue light blocking glasses at night. So usually the last couple hours at night, I will be wearing blue light blocking glasses. So, I guess that's one that some people might be too embarrassed to do. But for me, again, I actually feel the difference. So now if it's getting late at night, the light, my eyes will start being like, oh man, this light on my eyes, it doesn't feel good. Put on the blue light blocking glasses and it's like, oh, that's better. Nice and easy on my eyes. Really, I feel the difference, and I think it just helps you sleep better at night. Don't eat within 2 hours of bed. Some people will say even 3 hours. So that's one, not always an easy one. You got to really plan for that one, right? If I don't eat enough during the day, then I notice I'll start to eat more, too late at night. So it's something I've been personally trying to plan out more to get a better sleep. Another one is don't watch dramatic or violent shows before bed. I really think this is a big mistake a lot of people make. If you watch some big dramatic show, violent show, then that's what you're going to bed with, that in your mind. It can also, raise your, your nervous system, kind of get you amped up, which is the opposite of what you want before you go to bed. So, if you are, obviously it's better not to watch anything, probably better to read a book or do something like that, but not going through social media. And if you are going to watch something, watch a comedy, something that'll make you laugh or something that's more relaxing, I think would be a much better solution. Another one I have here is mouth taping. So this is one that the group was like, what, really? Mouth taping? And so, again, it may not be for everyone, but there's a book called Breathe by James Nestor, which is like a huge, I don't know, it's like probably 300-400 pages or something, but like, I'll give you the short version of it. And the short version is breathe through your nose as much as possible. That was really the short version of it, is like, you can give a million studies and a million, pieces of science around it. But the main thing is breathe through your nose as much as possible. And so the same thing goes. And unfortunately, some people have sleep apnea, or some people don't realize that their mouth is open and they're mouth breathing at night. And that lack of oxygen through your nose, through to your body, can cause inflammation in the body, right? And it can also cause you to not have a good deep sleep that you need. So some people have, on Amazon, you can buy mouth tape. You can, I think it's called sleeping tape, right? If you search on Amazon for sleeping tape, you can find a tape that you can literally tape your mouth shut to ensure that you breathe through your nose. It's not for everyone. Not everyone can do it. I try to get my wife to do it, and she's like, I can't do it. I can't put that. I can't tape my mouth shut. She's like afraid to do it or something, but I've done it. I don't think I'm a mouth breather. I think I'm pretty good. I've trained myself pretty well to breathe through my nose, but so I don't really do it all the time, because sometimes it's not the most comfortable. But I know for sure if I had sleep apnea, or if I was a mouth breather, for sure, I think this could be a total game changer, is using the sleeping tape at night. Another thing is using natural deodorants and natural cleaning products, right? So I'm very, very sensitive to smells and to chemicals. My wife actually has to hire, get the cleaning ladies only when I'm like traveling or out of town, because she knows I'm just so sensitive to it. And just try to use natural cleaning products, right, as much as possible. These chemicals, you can breathe them in. Another thing that's really bad is like those plugins to the wall, right? Those like scented plug-in air freshener things, or whatever they are, that you plug into the wall, and they have some artificial scent, artificial fragrance. Really, really bad. Highly recommend not breathing that in, not using that. So natural deodorant, right? The most popular one is called native deodorant. Native deodorant is pretty good. And it's kind of really well known. A bunch of others have popped up as well, but essentially you want to make sure that it's not an antiperspirant, which is what most people use, is an antiperspirant. All these major ones like Gillette and all these kind of ones are antiperspirants, which means they're literally using aluminum and other parabens to make you not sweat. Right? Which, if your body is trying to, by the way, sweating is a natural detox function that your body does, right? And so you don't want to stop your body from doing a natural detoxification process like sweating. So native deodorant is all natural. Again, it's not, antiperspirants might stop you from sweating, but that's not a good thing, really. So try some natural deodorants, try native deodorant. I highly recommend that. Again, eliminating, you're looking for ones that aluminum free and paraben free. There's another one that I use from Amazon. In addition to native, I kind of rotate between native and this other one on Amazon called Nasanta, Nasanta, and it's a magnesium deodorant. So that's a good one as well. Again, no aluminum or anything like that. Also at Peak Performance, we sell an organic body wash, because I noticed, like, man, why, even though it's like kind of like, okay, well, we don't really sell beauty products, like in terms of like stuff like that, but your skin is your biggest organ. And I was having a hard time finding an organic body wash that I liked, that I could use for myself in the shower every day. And so we have a USDA organic body wash. And again, because again, your skin is your biggest organ. If you're using, putting all these chemicals on your body every day, really, it's not ideal. So that's another health tip there. So yeah, we covered a lot of different topics, from mindset to all different types of health and different things you can do. So your job is to take this information and run with it. Prioritize your health. Be committed to learning more about your health and helping your family and friends that, learn more about their health as well, right? So this is only one podcast. This is only one episode that you're listening to. We have over 70 episodes here on Peak Performance alone. And there's other great health resources and audiobooks and things like that as well. Be committed to learn about your health. If health is the most important thing in your life, then you'll prioritize it, right? Like I say to these business guys, like, how many books have you read about business in the last couple of years? Oh, I've read 50, or I've read 100 books about business in the last few years. Okay, great. How many books have you read about health? None. Oh, interesting. Well, it shows where your priorities are, right? So, well, if you're listening, especially if you're listening to this point, congratulations, because you are committed to learning about your health. And I want to continue to encourage you to continue to do that, right? Keep listening, keep learning. When you do that, you keep it top of mind. It makes it easier. It makes you, it ingrains it more. It inspires you more to be healthy. So keep learning about your health. And, you really might help your family and friends as well. If they see you prioritizing your health and you're forwarding them this podcast, for example, hey, you should listen to this podcast, check this out, right? Now you're helping them be more healthy for your family and friends, for yourself. And so it's really a beautiful gift that you can leave people with. And so I'll leave you with this thought. When you are 100 years old, looking back at your life, what will you say? This is something I think about frequently when I'm 100 years old. So think about this. This is, again, a morning quiet time thing to think about. When you're 100 years old, looking back at your life, what will you say? Will you be proud that you and your family lived long, happy, healthy, energized lives and you lived up to your full potential? The choice is yours. That's it for today. Thank you for listening, and hope you enjoyed it. See you again soon. Thanks for listening, and just a reminder, if you haven't yet tried any of our Peak Performance products, you get 20% off your first order. We have one of the largest selection of USDA certified organic superfood powders, as well as very high quality supplements, and you get 20% off your first order at buypeakperformance.com. That's www.buypeakperformance.com.